otherwise. We will define for ourselves what we are here to do. So first of all, I want to say that we're here today at the Liberty Bell at Independence Hall, where our Constitution was put down, where the dream of democracy in our country took flight, because we believe in a simple moral principle that was imperfectly expressed in that indeed all people are created equal, and as equal members of our nation are entitled to an equal voice in our government and our elections. That is the promise of democracy, and that is what we are here to reclaim. And I believe in this dream. And I believe that simply on account of being alive, that I deserve an equal voice in our government. If you believe that too, I want you to put your hand up right now. Keep it up. Now, if you also believe that today in this country, that you have that equal voice in our elections, I want you to keep your hand up. And if not, bring it down. Not one hand. After over 200 years of struggle in our country, of blood, sweat, and tears shed to realize the promise of democracy, not one hand stays up. And we're here today to say that is not acceptable.
That's right.
We will not persist in that.
That's right.
We believe that is our birthright, and we are here to reclaim it.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. And the truth, the painful truth, but the truth that we must reckon with as a people is that not only do we not have an equal voice in our elections and government, but that if the measure is whether our voices truly matter in the decisions that are made in our government, the decisions that impact our lives, that not only our voice is not equal, but they are practically silent. And we are here to say, no more. We will not accept that. Enough. We are going to take back our country. We're going to take back our government. We will have a democracy for all. And we have to be clear that this corruption and inequality is not just a violation of our freedom. It's not just a violation of our rights. That it is deeply connected to profound pain and suffering and injustice in our society.
Genocide.
Can you still hear me? All right.
Yeah.
That we are here not just to demand an equal voice, but to demand a future, but to demand life. Because whether we're talking about the scourge of unchecked, potentially catastrophic climate change, or mass incarceration, or historic economic inequality, all of these fights, we are prevented from making progress on them. Because the moneyed interests that profit from the status quo can use that money to buy political power, to pass laws that keep people from voting, and to stop that change. And we cannot accept that anymore. We deserve a future in this country. We deserve to know that if we have children, or we are grandparents today, that when our lives are over, that our children, our grandchildren will go up on a planet that is habitable. We deserve that, to know that that will be the reality when our days are done. And we are here to reclaim that today. Are you with me? Yeah! Right. Now,
Guess we gotta keep going. I don't think so.
Larry says it best, that Christmas isn't coming for any of our movements if we don't win on this fight. Okay? And that reality, that understanding is what has brought over 100 organizations together in this campaign as part of Democracy Spring from all across the progressive movement and even beyond. Some of our conservative brothers and sisters are going to join us, and I'm excited about that. Because this is a movement for all people. This is a movement of love. It's an inclusive movement. Everyone has a place in it if you agree with us that we deserve an equal voice. But I want to say that we have to move forward on this fight, and we have to do it now. We cannot wait. The costs are too great. There are too many people in our country who urgently need a government in which their voices, their needs, their hopes and dreams matter as much as any billionaires, and we're not going to let them wait anymore. The children in Flint, Michigan, they can't wait anymore. The people who stood in line in Arizona to vote for hours and never had the chance, they can't wait anymore. The grandparents among us who want to know that when they die, that their grandchildren will live on a planet where life is possible, they don't have time to wait anymore. They don't have that luxury. So we have to come together and fight and win change now. Are you ready? Yeah! That's the spirit. That's the spirit. And the good news is that this is not a moment simply of urgency because change is necessary. I believe that it's a moment of great opportunity. Now listen, if I had stood here a year ago and I said that a 74-year-old Jewish democratic socialist and an orange-faced billionaire reality TV huckster were going to be seriously competing for the nomination of the Republican and Democratic parties, you would have said I was crazy, right? Yeah! But I think something's happening in our country because people are realizing that what is truly crazy, what is truly insane, is to continue to put our hopes in a corrupt and bankrupt establishment. And that unless we win change and elect people who are determined to break the rules of that and to fight for change, we can't count on anything getting better in our country. Do you understand that? Yeah! And so we come together at a moment when the people are waking up. But we have to be clear. First of all, we have to be crystal clear about this, that we are a nonpartisan movement, but we are not an amoral movement. And when a presidential candidate verges into the realm of fascism and hate, we have to say they've crossed a line of decency. And our conservative brothers and sisters have to recognize that Trump has done that and have to say no. That is not acceptable. But more importantly, beyond that, we have to understand that no matter who we elect to be president, even someone who hacks the big money system like Bernie, no matter who we elect, unless we build a movement that can change the system by which they're elected, they will go to Washington and face a Congress and around this country, governors, state legislators, mayors, city councils that were elected through that same corrupt system and are as beholden and bound to the power of big money as ever before, and that we will not see change. The only way we can do it is if we build a movement. We need an independent movement that can challenge business as usual and do more than just vote, more than just donate money, more than just phone bank. We have to be willing to march. We have to be willing to sit in. We have to be willing to disrupt business as usual until the powers that be must meet our demands. And that is the movement. That is the movement we are building here in Democracy Spring. That is what we are going to do. We are going to light a spark in this country and turn all that anger and frustration and resignation into a movement of love and hope and action that's a wildfire across this country. Are you ready for that?
Yeah!
Are you ready to march?
Yeah!
I'm going to keep you just a little bit longer because I've been waiting. Now I want to say we have to be clear that if electing either candidates that are bought by billionaires or billionaires themselves, if those are our only two options, that's not a democracy. That's a plutocracy. And we say to anybody out there who is paying attention to that message that this is the movement. We need to bring people together. We need to fight and win change, and that's what we're going to do. And the problem that we face, we have to be clear and send a message to people in our country that the problem is not that there aren't solutions. The problem is not that we can't change this. The problem is that Congress is refusing to even consider them. There are bills on the table in Congress right now, okay, that would change the way our elections are funded. That would empower us all to be equals as citizens, as voters and funders in our election. That would protect and expand the right to vote. We can fix this problem. We can do it right now, but we have to say to Congress, inaction is no longer acceptable. We will not wait.
That's right!
We will not stand by when you won't lift a finger to save our democracy. And although so many people in our country have become resigned to this status quo, we're here to send a message that we're not going to take it anymore. We're here to say, on behalf of the vast majority of the American people, on behalf of the 99%, on behalf of the Americans whom it is the duty of Congress to represent, that it is time for them to do their job, to step up and to take action and save our democracy. We are making a clear and simple and just demand. Take immediate action to end this corruption of big money in politics and ensure free and fair elections that give us all an equal voice, and do it now. And this demand, my friends, is too important to just announce it and go home and watch Netflix. No, we're not going to do that today. 100 or more of us from over 33 states in the Union, we are going to carry this demand, and we are going to march 10 days, 140 miles, and bring it to the U.S. Capitol, to the People's House. And as we walk, we will call upon Americans to join us and to be there when we arrive, and to present this demand to Congress and to make them make a choice. Either do your job and take action to save our democracy, or send us all to jail. They are not going to be able to hide anymore. We are going to force this out into the light of day. Over 1,000 people have spoken with us on the phone and have committed and confirmed that they will be there and they will sit in with us in Washington, D.C. And I believe that when we arrive, that this will be the largest civil disobedience of this century in our country. Day after day, we will sit in and we will make them make a choice. But in the eyes of this world, in the eyes of the nation, will they stand on the side of the people, on the side of democracy, or on the side of big money and corruption? Will they do their jobs? Will they fix our democracy? Or will they send hundreds of patriotic Americans to jail day after day simply for demanding an equal voice? And when we do that, we will send a message that no one can ignore. That the American people are here to take back our democracy, and that there will be a political price to pay for anyone who defends the status quo of corruption. And the polling place, and their fundraisers, and the streets, and our communities everywhere, we will send a message, whether you like it or not. We are taking back our government. We are taking back our democracy. You cannot stop us any longer. And we're not going to stop. Day after day, we'll continue. Day after day. Who's going to be with us in D.C.? Who's ready to sit in? Who's ready to go to jail for justice if it comes to that? Who is ready to take back our country? To send a message that it belongs not just to the billionaire class, not just to the corporate elite, but to every last one of us. That is our demand. And we, the people, are rising up to reclaim this country that is our birthright. And we will not stop until it is done. No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, no matter how tired you might feel, no matter how broken you may feel, you have the power to change this country. You have a place in this movement. When we stand together, nothing can stop us. And nothing will stop us when we reach Washington, D.C. It's the People's House, and we're taking it back. My grandfather, I'll finish with this, he died in the service of our country. And my grandmother, through all her loss and struggle, she never gave up on love, she never gave up on life, she never gave up on this country, and neither will I. And neither should you. And don't let anybody tell you you're too old, because I know the story of Granny D. She walked from California to Washington, D.C. with the campaign finance reform sign on her chest, and she was 88 years old. If she wasn't too old, you're not too old. And don't let anybody tell you that you're too young, because 5- and 6-year-old school children marched in Birmingham and faced the police dogs and the fire hoses to end segregation. If they weren't too young, you're not too young. And don't let anybody say that we don't have enough to fight for, because everything that we love, the people, the places, the planet that sustains our life, the principles that we care about, all of it is at risk if we don't save our democracy. We have too much to lose. We have so much to fight for, and we will not be stopped, because we have the power of love. We have the power of the people. We have a power of a movement, and we're going to use it. Are you ready?
Yeah!
If you are ready to stand up, If you are ready to fight, if you are ready to march, I want you to stand with me now and raise your voice with me and say enough.
Enough!
Say no more.
No more!
This country belongs to us all.
This country belongs
This democracy will belong to us all.
to us. Democracy will
Spring is coming.
Spring is coming!
Spring is coming.
Spring is coming!
Spring is coming.
Spring is coming!
America may never yet have had a democracy, but in our time, in our lives, through our effort, we will make it real at last. Are you ready?
Yeah!
Are you ready to walk?
Yeah!
Thank you.
Thank you all. Can a Native American speak to you guys? Yes. What's your name, sir? Rain is going to speak to us all, guys.
Man here told me to say it real short. I've listened to my spirit and I came here because my spirit told me to come. I'm Lee Pine Apache Indian from South Texas. And all of you know